I'm announcing today 2 bonus payments of up to $400 each will be paid to aged care workers, including those providing direct care, food or cleaning services.
More than 200,000 aged care workers are set to receive the cash boost in an effort to keep them in the sector.
Now, this is a responsible commitment that builds on the $393 million already provided over 3 payments earlier in the pandemic.
Scott Morrison is trying to buy the support of aged care workers.
But if that's the strategy, it doesn't appear to be working.
$800 doesn't really scratch the surface.
It only amounts to around $1 per hour extra for the workers in aged care.
The reality is this is nothing more than an embarrassment.
The PM's offering labelled a cheap trick by the union.
I find it really personally insulting. There's people who are not being showered for 2 and 3 days. Aged care workers who are doing, instead of 8-hour shifts, 14-hour shifts because they can't get the relief.
It's a sector in crisis. Last month, more than 400 Australians in aged care died of COVID as the government missed its own booster rollout deadline. Advocates are now warning of a mass exodus as workers reach breaking point.
They tried this about 18 months ago. Payments weren't enough to keep people in aged care. In fact, they're leaving more than ever.
A cash payment that does nothing to lift the wages of aged care workers beyond the next federal election campaign.
The opposition claims to have a more permanent solution.
We would make a submission to the Fair Work Commission supporting an increase in pay for aged care workers. Yes, we would.
I haven't heard how he proposes to fund that, so that's for him to explain.
So will the cash splash be enough to support struggling aged care workers and the sector they're so desperately trying to keep afloat?
Older Australians deserve to live out their later years with respect and dignity. They've built this country. They deserve nothing less.
The ministers responsible for aged care, Greg Hunt and Richard Colbeck, both declined our invitation tonight, but Senior Government Minister Senator Jane Hume has made herself available and she joins us now. Senator, why wouldn't you, as Anthony Albanese is promising, support a more permanent wage increase for these workers?
Well, a claim for a higher wage for aged care workers is right in the middle, right now, in front of the Fair Work Commission. It's a decision for them to make, not a decision for the government to make. The announcement that the Prime Minister made today is a cash injection for aged care workers, 2 $400 payments, one immediately, one in May, and that carries on from the cash bonuses that were paid to the aged care workforce in 2020 in recognition of the extraordinary work that they've done at the front line of a very difficult time in a very difficult sector throughout the COVID-19 pandemic.
So you would support a permanent rise?
Well, the claim that's being made by the Health Services Union is a $5 per hour rise, and that would equate to around a 25% pay rise. We want to make sure that our aged care workforce and our aged care system is sustainable. Now, I should point out that the $800 that the Prime Minister announced today isn't the only support for the aged care sector. In fact, it was this government that called for an Aged Care Royal Commission and has already responded to that Aged Care Royal Commission with $17.6 billion in economic response. And that's for quality aged care and also support for the workforce.
Didn't that Royal Commission also ask for an aged care levy to help fund aged care because it was so underfunded, and you rejected that?
Well, not all of the recommendations of that Aged Care Royal Commission were accepted. However,
Right.
$17.6 billion worth of support has already been implemented
Right, but
in
that's
response to that
significantly
aged
less
care.
than what the Aged Care Commission was calling for. I suppose the question really is not one of not funding, it's one of underfunding. I mean, we heard the Prime Minister refer to this as a retention payment. It's an acknowledgement that people are leaving because they just don't feel they're well enough paid and it's just too much. They've been through too much. We heard an advocate in that package there say that what you've announced today boils down to $1 an hour. What makes you think that $1 an hour is going to stop an exodus of workers from an industry that has been through what this industry has been through?
We know that this industry has had a rough time because they have been at the forefront, right at the front line of the worst that we've seen of COVID-19.
So is it worth $1 an hour? Is what they've been through worth $1 an hour?
There are many other industries that have also had a rough time. Think of, teachers, nurses, doctors, paramedics. There are lots of different industries that have been at the forefront of COVID-19. This is one of them. Now, the announcement today of the $800 cash injection for aged care workers is an acknowledgement of the hard work that they've done, the extra shifts that they've taken on, and the difficulties that they've had in that sector. The good news is we hope that we are now through the worst of COVID-19 and we can move on to make sure that this is a sustainable sector that does treat our elderly with dignity.
Minister, can I just pick up there, though? It's not just a payment in acknowledgement of what they've been through. It's an attempt to stop them leaving. That's actually what the policy is all about, is stopping them leaving.
And hope...
My question is, why do you think $1 an hour will do that?
Well, a $400 cash injection now and a $400 cash injection in May is an acknowledgement of the hard work that they have done. Now, is it enough?
We just
I'm not sure,
established
but
that it's not
the Prime Minister also said that it is an acknowledgement of the work that they have done.
Yes,
it's not supposed to cure everything.
But he said it's a retention payment. So I accept it's an acknowledgement. We all acknowledge what they've been through. I'm just asking you why you think that amount of money will cause someone who wasn't planning on leaving to stay. Sorry, who was planning on leaving to stay. Where did you get that figure from? Why is that the price?
It may well not. We know that there are lots of people resigning from lots of different industries because COVID-19's made us all rethink the way that we work and what we want in our lives. Certainly in the US, we've seen the great resignation as people make decisions about what it is they want to do with their lives. And I'm sure that the aged care workforce will be in that position as well. But in the meantime, we want to make sure that their work that they have done, the extra shifts that they've taken on, are acknowledged appropriately.
Jane, I'm not sure if you're on or in Gladys Berejiklian's WhatsApp group or if you're the unnamed minister. I don't know. But is your boss a complete psycho?
I thought about what PVO had said, and I went through the list of cabinet ministers, Liberal cabinet ministers, and I can't think of anybody that could that's actually worked with Scott Morrison that would actually say that. So I'm not sure where that came from. And look, let's face it, Gladys Berejiklian is an articulate and a formidable and an extraordinary woman. I think that if she actually had something she wanted to say to the Prime Minister, she'd say it to him directly. And if she wanted to say it to a journalist, she probably would have picked up a phone.
So where do you think those messages have come from? You're not buying it?
I can't say. Gladys Berejiklian herself said that she can't recall saying that, and PVO hasn't announced who it was that the text messages came from or whether they've been put into a particular context.
Well, with all the memory problems, let's hope that anyone doesn't end up in aged care.
Jane, we appreciate your time tonight.
Great to be with you guys.